Well, good morning, TLD. Hopefully everybody is ready to go with their Friday agenda. Thanks for being with us all week. This has been a fun endeavor, and we certainly appreciate all the work that the folks in Denver have done for this. So thank you to all of you. And we're going to jump right in and look back at our schedule from yesterday and just give you some highlights. We had a session that I kind of led yesterday morning on the environment and place. One of the things I wanted to highlight was the Habs Hair Collection, which is Historic American Building Survey and Historic American Engineering Record. Those items often are kind of overlooked, and you might look at the collection, it shows up as a bunch and you're like, what is that? But dig deep and take a look at those, especially when we're talking about place and looking at what was happening, especially for buildings that might no longer be erected, and you can look back at history. Cindy, did you have any other comments?
Well, I wanted to add to that. Michelle has done a great math lesson using the prints, the blueprints, the plans from Habs Hair. So for those of you who work on a team with a math teacher who's kind of like, what can I do to be a part of this? That's a great way to bring in your math people.
And think about STEM as well. If I can jump in and mention something, Cindy, you're right. We use the Habs Hair for engineering as well to talk about how things are built and the design piece. And Sherry was so wonderful to bring that collection up yesterday. Sherry, thank you for your presentation that just really illuminated those resources that can add on to John's work. And I put the hair collection in chat for you. So thank you so much for that.
Great.
Well, and the other thing, Sherry, I wanted to reiterate was the stereograph images, because those are really cool. And I don't think that collection gets enough attention as well.
Yeah, they're fun ones. All right, and then at 9 o'clock, we had a session on working with exhibitions. Cindy highlighted some of her favorites. Do you want to start out with comments on that one?
Yes, first I have to give a disclaimer. I said that the exhibitions were online, were digitized, went back to 1977. Wrong. Try 1997. Just 20-year glitch there. So they went back to 1997. I appreciated, Cherry, your comment about the organization of memory, reason, and imagination being part of Jefferson's way to categorize his library prior to Dewey Decimal and whatever. So I just thought that was really good. I think we both would agree that the cropping tool is awesome. And we're glad they're putting that in the collections.
And the exhibitions, I think, as another area that often gets overlooked. And then once you get into an exhibition and find one that meets your needs, looking at those interactives and the Learn More section is also something that you can hopefully use. Absolutely.
And then we really enjoyed Kent Willman's lessons on government. I had not realized that he's been doing this for 23 years with teachers. And Justel Gransart, I think, Granciard, or not sure how to say her last name, who's a teacher at Silver Creek High School, showed the whole process she used. And what I really got amused was she was Kent's student teacher. So he's paid it forward there. But she talked about successes of this. And one of the things that I kept coming back to, two things. One was that it gives kids a voice. And they realize that they can have opinions, and the Civic Action Project is a way to get them to put their opinions in newspapers. Two of the young ladies actually got called before the state legislature to talk, which was very impressive. And so the other piece of that was choice. Kids get engaged because they have choice. And so that is really exciting. So I thought that was, Kent had a lot of great things to say, and as did Justel.
Well, and I think it also relates back to John McClane's um, book and what he was doing in the local area, that we take that and use that as an impetus to what can we do in our own local areas. Often I think you read something and you think, oh, well, that's in Montana, it doesn't have anything to do with me. And we need to make it local for our students, for our communities, and encourage people to get involved. So at 2 o'clock, we had maps. I think yesterday was the Sherry and Cindy show.
Yeah, really.
And I've always enjoyed maps. And when I got to the Library of Congress and realized the extensive collections they had, it was like, oh my gosh, I was like the map geek. But I find that maps can be not just what you traditionally think. And so I pointed out a few maps that were a little unusual, not your typical maps. And then I did have that one map that I added that I just thought was pretty, and lo and behold, it connected to Cindy. So it's just always interesting with maps. I find that people get really engaged, and whether I'm working with senior citizens or with preschoolers, maps are a way that I think it's accessible for a lot of people. So
Well,
any other comments about maps, Cindy?
I loved two things. I loved how you were reading the City of Gold and you pulled out a map and then you're tracing where the things were taking place. Then you made an album for the Teachers Network, and then you wrote the author and sent him that, and he was really excited. So, I mean, what a way to make a really neat connection. So, you know, you're right. No matter if you're a preschooler or you're a senior, maps speak to you.
And Brawley has mentioned multiple times this week about you shouldn't work harder than your students are working. If you're doing historical fiction of some sort as a class novel, or your kids are reading individually, encourage them to get those sticky notes out. That was the trick that I learned from my friend Gail Petrie when she was doing a lot of picture books and finding primary sources. That those sticky notes, just add them in when you see a word that you don't know what it means, or you want to know where that place is, or you want to know what that animal looks like, or whatever. Have them contribute and add to the collections with your historical fiction. And with any fiction, I think, or nonfiction as well. So anyway, have the kids help so that it's not all on you to have to find all these resources. And then at 5 o'clock, we had the amazing Leanne Potter, who always just kind of takes us on a journey with her. I really appreciated the following her thinking as she went through her search. We've all kind of been there, but to go with her on that journey was kind of like being on the caravan with her on the camels through the desert, right?
Exactly. And she's always amazing. And last night was no exception. And so I know so much more about Oasis than I ever thought I needed to know. And just was impressed with the variety of things that she pulled out of the library. Images that had biblical references to them, the Edward Curtis collection, just daily morning oases from Nogales, Arizona. It was just really cool. But I thought the thing that was important was, then she goes, wait, we have to come back to where we started. That, you know, you go down these rabbit holes, but sort of have to connect back and to where you started.
And I was reminded of the lesson that we had, or the presentation from National History Day folks, about the thesis statement. And Leanne demonstrated that exactly, that you can change your thesis statement as you go along, that it's constantly evolving, but that you circle back to that as you're researching and try to stay on the right track. So felt like that fit really well together.
It did. And then I had re-underlined, or re-search with search underlined, because searching's what it's all about.
Right, and doing it over and over. And I made a note about the Galbraith Railroad maps. I've seen those before, but never had that memorized and could never find them again. So now it's going to be added to my permanent list of maps to be able to find.
All right.
So I think we can focus on today. We've still got a lot of good things scheduled for the day. After our little morning mojo, Cindy is going to do a session on the Colorado Encyclopedia. And then at 11, we have a session about from History Colorado. Cindy, you want to share about that one?
The History Colorado is going to do, oh, I just lost it.
The session on Lincoln Hills.
Right, Lincoln Hills, which of course was a recreational center camp for African Americans outside of, so they would leave Denver and they could go up to Lincoln Hills and have a recreational experience. And
Which I'm thinking about the cabin that John McClane and the vacation and getting away and all of that in that special place. So
yes, and there's a great exhibit at the museum where you can sit in the cabin, the porch of the cabin. So it'll be
Great.
exciting. And then Laura and Michelle at 2, never miss Laura and Michelle, are going to do Working with Places. So that's a highlight. And then tonight, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, then tonight at 5, we have Sarah Westbrook, who's going to, from the Right Question Institute. That's the correct name, isn't it? Talking about questions and Cindy, other comments about that session?
Well, Mary, excuse me, Mary Johnson originally brought the RQI to us and we started using it. And I have to tell, we were doing, it was Keith and I were doing a session in Colorado Springs with District 11. And we introduced this to them, how you get kids to generate questions. And the next day, this woman came back, or the next session, this woman came back, 3rd grade teacher, 5th grade teacher. And she said, when do you stop them from generating questions? She goes, like they ask 70 questions. Do you think that I should stop them? And we're like, what? 70 questions from 5th graders? That's pretty good. So it's a really good strategy for getting kids to ask questions. So I'm eager to hear how you get them to ask great questions, not just good questions, but great questions.
Yeah, Leanne talked a lot about yesterday the anxiety with researching and how researching can be, more of a journey than a destination point. So Sarah is going to give a lot of really great research and strategies for helping students get over that like anxiety hump of research and inquiry and stuff like that. So it'll be a really great session.
And we understand that it will be very interactive. So it's not going to be a sit back and just listen. You're going to be engaged. So that'll be great. So do we have an update on Goose Chase?
Yes, we are having fun with Goose Chase. And we had, if you look at the slides, should we share the slides? Whoever's sharing the slides today, we do have 3 people who are in the point lead. They're doing great, but we added yesterday several questions with high point value. So you can get in today. Goose Chase is open until midnight. Get in there. The one I would like to point out, we have some poster sessions. You can get 1,500 points for those questions if you can go in and show us that you explored the poster sessions, especially around the PD offerings in Colorado. Some of them are paid for. They give you a chance to get some credit, to get to sign up for a little getaway. Like there are some great options for professional development around Colorado topics and just some huge opportunities. So go in, check that out, and you can get some high points in Goose Chase. Pay attention to the points. it'll be open till midnight. If you'll notice, we had another selfie of a participant with Dr. Wei. So we are having fun. It's fun to hear what is resonating with you and how you are responding to the sessions. Also, you notice we just posted the question and answer document. Those questions have been coming to us through Goose Chase. So we're happy to run down those resources, find that information for you. And we just hope you continue to enjoy. We will send out the winners. We have some great prizes, printers, Chromebooks, some book sets. So those will be going out. We're going to do a little video once Goose Chase closes at midnight tonight. And we will send that out as part of the certificate, as the certificates start to show up and you do the reviews. So we hope you've enjoyed Goose Chase. One thing that I have done with Goose Chase, we found that there's an app for the Chromebooks. We had the kids download the app for Goose Chase, and we've been using Goose Chase with students at school. Most of us through the pandemic went one-to-one with Chromebooks, so that's an option, and we've been able to engage kids with Goose Chase too.
And I would really encourage you to think about engaging families this way as well. Using Goose Chase with your students also can really pull families together to create a learning environment for discussion and for fun. We're really excited to be using Goose Chase when we take 100 kids to the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York next week, and to have them in the sense of place in New York City. We will be using Goose Chase as a back channel and an engagement feature in the trip, and you can use it both inside and outside of the classroom. But we also need to think as teachers about how we continue that learning in conversation with our families. And Goose Chase is a good avenue for that. So you might think about that as another option in your instruction, especially since a lot of times parents want to be engaged. And I don't know about y'all, but middle schoolers are not overly enthused about having parents at school. So the fact that you can have a tool that allows middle schoolers and high schoolers and elementary alike to share their learning with families, it's a great thing.
The first time we used Goose Chase was with a field trip. So this was pre-pandemic. And we had the parents, we gave the chaperone parents, each had a group of kids. They had a phone, the kids didn't have a phone, but they downloaded Goose Chase. And so we could track our little groups as they made their way through downtown Denver and give them feedback, find out where they were, make sure they were on track. And that was our first experience with Goose Chase. And we really encourage you to try that with your field trip experiences as well.
And one last thing, there is nothing like Goose Chase in primary sources, because the ability to have kids analyze text, to look at primary sources, do a then and now activity with a Library of Congress source out in the community, it makes a huge difference about how you engage students and your participants in using primary sources in different ways. So you might think about that in harnessing how we actually engage that way. We've tried to model that through the activities that we've designed in Goose Chase. So have some fun, dream a little, throw it inside or outside of the classroom and see what happens. But watch those points, catch some of those great new questions that have come, and we'll see who the winner is by midnight tonight.
It's not too late. Great thing to do on a Friday.
All right. Well, thanks for the update. I think we're ready for working with places. So Michelle and Bart, you can take it from there.
Colorado Encyclopedia, and Kyle's going to drive for us, and we're thrilled as always to have.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. We're doing Colorado Encyclopedia. I'm jumping ahead to 2 o'clock.
No, we have to do 11.
Sorry.
It's all good. So we're thrilled to have Cindy with us, who's our master guru on Colorado Encyclopedia, and we've got some resources. But Cindy, we're going to turn it over to you and Kyle, and let's get rocking and share some of that great stuff that's in there about civic learning.
Michelle, jump in, whatever.
You got it.
So Colorado Encyclopedia, we're in the process of writing our 3rd grant. And so I will ask you if you've used the encyclopedia and you would like to write a comment, we could include it in our grant, because we always like to say, yes, we're very successful. I am the education editor for the encyclopedia, and we are all things Colorado. We're vetted. Excuse me. We have more now than 700 entries. We will offer to do another 300 if we get our new grant. We've added a lot of things that weren't there before. Poetry, editorials, all kinds of things that are wonderful, wonderful things to have available to you. The developers, the encyclopedia was developed through support from the Colorado Humanities, University of Colorado Press, and the Colorado State University. And William Way is the master brain behind all of this. So he does this project, and it's fabulous. Then we have partners, Center of the American West, Metro State, Rocky Mountain PBS, Colorado Come to Life, excuse me. Colorado Department of Education, Metro, and they've all been very supportive. Sorry. What we offer, we're going to start with the homepage. And you can see there's a search bar. You can just put in a topic, or you can use people, places, events, or things to give you suggestions. You can use a search function to find, I am so sorry, to find Colorado civics and government, political figures, women in suffrage, legislation, copy of the Colorado Constitution, and many, many more resources. On the front page, there are maps. There are maps and timeline, things that you can click on. Well, can you get that? Thanks. So when you click on maps on the county, you could get articles related to the county. The timelines, we're working to make those even more robust than they already are. And you can, again, you can access these from the very front page, or you can just scroll down. One of the things that we developed that is really exciting are inquiry cards. And inquiry cards, the first time we introduced them, Michelle and I had to put little rings around them and punch holes in, because teachers tried to borrow them from us. And we both only had a set. Well, now there are 129, and there should be 70 more with our new grant. They're available on the site through PDFs. You can print them off on cardstock, and they're organized in various ways, geographic, for example. But there are tons of things you can do with these. If I want to know what made Central City so central, I can turn the card over, access QR code, and it will take me to the article. So very popular.
Cindy,
And-
can I add something in here that's really important to know?
Yes.
Beyond the fact that you protect these with your life because everybody wants them, kids included, that's a huge thing. But these inquiry cards are wonderful to use as well with our large Colorado map. You can check out our large Colorado map and our trunk, which is located at History Colorado, and you can pick it up and grab it. And that's that large Colorado map that we all know and love, that is about the size of a classroom. And these inquiry cards are amazing with that. Kids can line it up with latitude and longitude, explore the different places. You can lay them out on the map. There's all kinds of different things. And in the History Colorado tub, we've also included some postcards of historic places under this same concept. The State Historic Fund with History Colorado has worked with Colorado Encyclopedia to really illuminate a lot of the stories and places that are unknown. And as we talk about the important things that we need to do to elevate the voices of all of our students in the classroom and make sure that they see their heritage as we teach as well, the Colorado Encyclopedia allows for that. And these cards, there we go, they're right there. These cards, as well as the leveled resources that are in Colorado Encyclopedia, help you to bring those unknown voices to the classroom. And when I say unknown, we know they're there, but I think we need to continue to make a conscious effort to bring them forward. And Cindy and her team have done an extensive job in researching these places that tie us to all of the cultural heritage of Colorado. So it's a great place to jump in. And there's those inquiry cards by theme that you can put up. So it's an amazing resource. But I wanted to pop in and just mention that Colorado map's a great resource and something you might want to think about using in conjunction with the inquiry cards.
Also, let me just quickly mention on educators that leveled articles and resource sets. So you can see there's articles for 4th, 8th, and 10th grade readers, and that number of them are growing every year. And we're writing resource sets that go with those, so teachers can use the articles and have the resource sets. I'm looking for writers for resource sets. I've even got some money to pay. So if you might be interested in writing a resource set on one of these topics or one of these articles, just let me know. The last slide has my email and you can just contact me that way. Coming soon. We're waiting for the weather, a little break in the weather. We're going to have virtual tours. We started working on this last year and we're getting to the point where we're almost ready to start filming. So you can go and see the Rosonian Hotel, for example, in Denver, which housed, when African Americans would come here, they'd stay at the Rosonian. So the great jazz people, Louis Armstrong was there. And so you can see the Rosonian, and you can see that we'll be moving out to other areas in Conejos County, in Antonito, as well as Brighton and the First Unitarian Church in Denver. So a picture is worth 1,000 words. But if you put the words with it, it's so much more. So come join us at the encyclopedia. It's coloradoencyclopedia.org. And if you would be interested in writing a resource set, contact me. And don't forget, if you could, please put some comments about how you use these in the chat, because we'd like to include them with your name in the grant proposal that we're writing now.
And Cindy, thank you for that. I want to let you know that I also shared another resource. We did a finding guide that tied to the borderlands, really southwestern Colorado, the conversation about early Colorado and our Hispanic heritage as well. I've shared that in the chat so that you can access it. There it is. It's a finding guide. We went through historic places, readings that can help you as well. And it's all there for you. And I've just shared that chat. We wanted to make sure that you had this in your hands as well. So we continue when we collaborate with different projects to ensure that we're doing some type of finding guide or pulling together resources that really support what teachers are using right now. And Cindy was a key part of this for Borderlands. So thanks, Cindy, for that. I wanted to just let people know we popped that in the chat.
Good. Well, thank you, Michelle and Laura, for your work on it. It's awesome.
Cindy, I just wanted to add how much teachers, how excited they were about the leveled articles. I think you underplay those, but the leveled articles, as one teacher said, it gave her the ability to have different reading levels or different language acquisition levels in the same class, read the same article. And Cindy, I know you're the leveler of those articles. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone understood just the power of what you do.
Thank you. And I have to tell you, one thing I'm very proud of is we kept the format the same. So 2 kids sitting next to each other at a computer, one reading a 10th grade, one reading a 4th grade, it looks the same. So I found that to be really exciting because we just think that was really important.
And it's hugely important for that SCL component as well, social emotional learning, to really support our kids where they're at, but it really encouraged them to think critically, use primary and secondary sources. And Cindy, by Colorado Encyclopedia doing this, I think it's a huge piece for kids to make sure that everybody has access, that equity piece. And for those of you who are joining us across the country, please know this is not just about Colorado. The themes and the topics here tie to our national standards and to the things that you do across the nation. So I'd encourage you to jump into Colorado Encyclopedia.
Let me add just one more thing. The languages button, there are 110 languages represented. And when you click on that button, the whole article goes into that language.
And that's amazing.
It is amazing. So for those of us with ESL kiddos, they can read too.
Absolutely. And Cindy, the smile that was on the face of my new Chinese student who just came in when I had her bring this up, and we chose the Chinese Simplified for her, and she was able to read along with the rest of her class. It was a moment that was probably one of the most special of this semester.
Awesome.
So thank you for that. It just happened last week. And
All
it was a
right.
huge smile moment. So thank you, Peggy, for bringing that up, and Cindy for working on this.
Thank you. Come visit us.
Great. Well, thank you, everybody. We'll hopefully see you online today, checking out the sessions that are coming up, and then tonight at 5 o'clock. Anybody else with anything to add?
Sherry, I do have one thing. I want to commend you and Cindy for your work through this week with the Morning Mojo. You really, the amount of time you guys spend to review everything and to let everyone know is just great. And I'm wondering if everyone has their glasses, if we should do a final TLD goodbye for Morning Mojo. There we go.
We'll get everyone's glasses. Look, we need to turn everyone's videos on. Maybe we have everyone at home with their glasses. Do you think?
Well, if you have your glasses, turn your video on. But anyway,
Aloha.
there we go. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank
See you
you. We'll
tonight
see you
for the
all
Thank
keynote.
tonight.
you.
Good seeing you all.